Hello! I've been wanting to do these for a while. I have had the time, obviously, because it's not like the days got longer, but I've always prioritized other things above making these videos. But now I am prioritizing making videos and editing them because every time I make them, I look back at them and I kind of fall in love with myself a little bit more. I know that's kind of so weird to say, but it's like I see myself from all these angles, doing all these different things, talking about things I'm passionate about, and I can't help but feel more confident in who I am because I just end up liking myself a little bit more. Okay, that was like that was a lot, so I'm gonna stop. My video today, I'm gonna talk about 3 really cool things that I've learned recently, just because. So the first thing is the idea of feeling bored. This social scientist, social psychologist, social psychiatrist, a scientist. So this scientist and their colleagues got a bunch of volunteers and had them sit in a room and think. Phase 2 of the study, a new batch of people sat in a room and had to think, or they got to the choice to electrocute themselves. And 67% of men and 25% of women decided to shoot themselves. I think that's pretty interesting. I think it's indicative of the fact that humans would rather feel pain than sit with their own boredom. I think we do it now. People would rather stay in toxic relationships because it's familiar to them, rather than figuring out what it's like to be single. The second thing I wanted to talk about is our circadian rhythm. As y'all might know, it helps us have this wake and sleep cycle. It's essentially what tells us like, hey, it's time to eat, it's time to wake up, it's time to work out. Or not time to work out, but like it's time to be active, it's time to go to bed. And in this other book that I was reading, there's this really cool reason why it's actually called a circadian rhythm. In the book, it talks about this study in which these 2 scientists, Kleitman and Richardson, might be Kleitman, I don't know. They kept themselves in this cave where there's absolutely no light, and they just saw what kind of pattern their body naturally fell into. And they noticed that Richardson, who was in his 20s, developed a sleep-wake cycle of between 26 and 28 hours in length. That of Kleitman in his 40s was a little closer to, but still longer than 24 hours. So because of this study, they actually recognize that our innate biological rhythm is not precisely 24 hours, but thereabouts. So they gave it a new name, circadian rhythm, which is circa, around, dien, a day. It's around a day long because it's not exactly 24 hours. It's just around 24 hours. But when we have something like light that could help our body kind of figure out, hey, when's the proper time to wake up and go to sleep, our body will depend on that. But when we don't have light, we still have this internal clock. Isn't that kind of cool? And the last thing I wanted to talk about has to do with creativity and limitations. But it's from this book. It was actually recommended to me by someone that's following me on Twitter. There's this saying that they talk about, and the saying is, argue for your limitations and you get to keep them. I think that we live in such a society where we are allowed to, and it is accepted to accept your fears and your limitations. When people say like, oh, I don't want to pursue this dream because, I don't know, the acceptance rate is really small. Like, I think that that's kind of bizarre. I think that it's crazy that we have to be successful to try and pursue something. Why can't we just pursue something because it makes us happy, it makes us feel fulfilled, it makes us feel incredible? Like, isn't that the best outcome that we could get from a situation? Why would we enforce our limitations and our fears if all they're doing is preventing us from trying something that can make us 100% happy, you know? Like, anyways, those were cool. I like learning new things, new small little tidbits. My parents always say that I could talk to a wall. Right now I'm talking to a phone. I'm just talking to myself, to be honest, and I'm having a grand time, so I'm probably gonna continue doing these. Yeah. If you want to check out my older videos, this is one of my favorites. This one is really near to my heart. And you should subscribe to me. Not because you have to or anything, but because I just think that I'm kind of cool.